Welcome back to the show, the main event, and everything in between. This is the Fools on Stools podcast. Yes, we are back with Cullen Brown and Kevin Walker as well. Guys, how was y'all's Thanksgiving? Because we got a lot of stuff to talk about today.
Food, football, family. Not in that order. In fact, reverse order, actually. So life was
order.
good.
We went through this.
So
last
family,
time.
football, food.
Family, football, and food.
Yeah.
It was a good time. It was a good time getting to watch football. Both types of football for me. I indulged a little bit on sports.
So you watch
Football.
college
Football.
and NFL?
No, I mean
The World Cup.
Football.
Football.
Oh, football.
Or if we're really getting into it, soccer now.
Yeah, it's
It's
soccer.
very true.
It's definitely
It's
soccer
soccer.
now.
It is that time again. But like we said before, we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to start off in the college football world. There were a lot of things that happened. A big shocker with number 2 Ohio State losing to Michigan. That was such a shocker. The Big Blue took an L, really got a beat down against the Ohio State University. I mean, there's really nothing else you can say is that they just got their behinds tore up. Kevin, I know you were watching that game.
Oh, yeah.
What is your breakdown of that game? Because it was a shocker to really everybody.
Well, so shocked to a lot of people, yeah. And I'm not even going to lie, even I was shocked because even though I did have Michigan winning, I did not predict them to have a blowout by any means necessary. J.J. McCarthy had a day. He's got a lot of young, raw talent that hopefully Michigan's going to be able to produce out of him. Ohio State, they really did. They just got tore up, man. And this is the second year in a row where Ryan Day has lost to Michigan. And if you're new to college football, that can't happen if you're the head coach of Ohio State. It literally just can't happen. Like, that's honestly, it don't matter if you win the entire season and lose to Michigan. That's fire-worthy. That's just how it rolls. I mean, crossing out every M in the state of Ohio did no good. It was just a waste of time. Michigan took care of business without their star running back, Blake Corum, too. I mean, they were still able to use the run game, and it was the special plays that worked for them. They just were able to take those special plays, hold Ohio State to all facets of the offense. I mean, Michigan State had a day. It was amazing to see, and I got to address this real quick. Anybody who thinks Ohio State and Michigan should both be in the college football playoff, I don't agree with that at all. Because, yeah, I'll give it to them. Both teams are good, but it was a winner-go-home scenario, and Michigan won. I think if you have Michigan and Ohio State play each other too much, then, yeah, I get it. It's a rivalry, one of the greatest, if not the best of all time. But if you have them play a bunch over and over and over again, then it starts to wear down, and it's not as important. I don't like both of them being in at the same time. I think Michigan won deservingly. I think they are the number 2 team in the country. I don't think they're quite at Georgia's level, but we're definitely gonna find out soon. But yeah, it was a big win. It was fun to watch, really. Knowing that I doubled down even with all the injuries that Michigan had, despite probably my best interest. Yeah, Michigan pulled it out, and it was a good win.
I mean, looking at the rankings now, I mean, Michigan is number 2.
Yep.
And you have OSU at number 5 now, which really
kind of surprised
changed.
me. Yeah, I kind of thought maybe they might get a little bit lower of a rank, but I think 5's okay.
Do you think if Michigan lost this game, that would be where OSU is right now?
You know what? Just based off of the Ohio State bias, I think that if Ohio State won this game, then they probably if it was reversed and Ohio State beat them 45-23.
Yeah.
Ohio State would be number 2, if not maybe number 1. I think Michigan, they probably put Michigan down 6-7 just based off of the Ohio State ranking bias, in my opinion. But I think Ohio State being 5 is okay.
All right. I got it.
Yeah,
Give
go
my
ahead,
2
jump
cents
in.
Before I get started, before I go in, Kevin Walker and Charles Woodson and all the other Michigan alums were right. Michigan was the better team.
Right.
Congratulations to y'all for picking them. They were the best team in the Big Ten and now have basically all but secured, locked in the college football playoff berth. So I want to give you credit before I dive in on this whole subject.
Demolishing, yeah.
I mean, because I'm not gonna lie, we were wrong last week.
Oh no, we were.
We were definitely wrong.
We
with
were.
This pick.
There's multiple points that you brought up that I want to address, so I'm going to try to hit as many of them as I can, if not all of them. Ohio State bleeped the bed.
Yeah.
They absolutely bleeped the bed. You cannot tell me that Ohio State, talent-wise, is one of the better teams in the country. And again, I respect to Michigan. J.J. McCarthy's former 5-star quarterback. You mentioned Blake Corum, who gutted it out, only had like 2 carries.
Yeah. Donovan Edwards had a day, though.
Yeah, he did. And that 1-2 punch is arguably the best 1-2 punch in the country. To me, this all was about defense. The Ohio State secondary got exposed. No longer is the days of Marshawn Lattimore, Malik Hooker, and all the other great Ohio State DBs. That's long gone.
Yeah.
Ryan Day has not. I don't know what the game. I mean, I understood what the game plan was. They were trying to take away Michigan's first option, which was to run the ball. Mm-hmm. And even then, they held their own in the first half. I mean, Donovan Edwards did not get a majority of those yards until late in the game when Ohio State was really demoralized.
Oh, yeah.
Also, another thing, Michigan had, I believe it was 4 plays of 50 yards or more. Those were the 4 longest plays they've had the entire year against Ohio State.
Yeah.
Not against Maryland, not against Illinois, not against Rutgers, against Ohio State. They had the top 4 biggest plays of their entire season against the Buckeyes.
I mean, yeah.
They won the line of scrimmage. They beat Ohio State. They punched them in the mouth and said, "We are here. We won last year. We're going to continue to run over." And Ohio State folded like a stack of lawn chairs. And it's ridiculous.
I mean, honestly, you talk about the special plays. You know how teams always talk about, "Oh, we've been planning all year for this. We've been planning." Michigan has literally been planning all. I'm not saying Ohio State didn't, but apparently whatever Michigan did, they did better in all facets of the game because you're right. That O-line is nasty. I can guarantee you all 5 of their starting O-linemen going to be probably a bunch of studs in the NFL come soon.
I mean, they completely controlled everything. And I want to give credit to Harbaugh, too, because he finally has the team that he's been trying to build there now for numerous years.
A long time, yeah.
His defense, for those who don't know, he loves run stuffing, edge defensive tackles, edge setting defensive ends, and then hybrid players at the 2nd and 3rd level, meaning you can also tackle but cover in space.
Like Aiden Hutchinson.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Right.
He has done a great job building this team, especially with all the players that, speaking of Aiden Hutchinson, that left in this past NFL draft. He real built the defense. Michigan is the stepping stone. And you mentioned this too. Ohio State, when you're a coach at the Ohio State University, Ryan Day came out and said it, you are expected to win every game.
Absolutely.
And especially this one against Michigan. Ryan Day, and I agree with you, Kevin, I don't believe he should be on fire watch right now. Because you've invested too much. He was the predecessor to Urban Meyer. 2 years is not enough time for him to really kind of make his mark. Sure. He still went 11-1. Point is, he 100% needs to change his whole drastic kind of just thought process. Because right now, Michigan is the cream of the crop when it comes to the Big Ten, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Because Michigan and Jim Harbaugh have firmly taken Ohio State's reign that Ohio State had for arguably most of the last 2 decades.
This win for Michigan's bigger than it's bigger than just the win. For recruiting for Michigan to keep going forward, this was huge. There was so many recruits at this game.
By the way, I also want to mention this. So when J.J. McCarthy turned into all of a sudden prime Joe Montana and was just throwing it all over the field, Cornelius Johnson, right, had 160 yards on the day.
Yeah.
Do you know how many yards he had the entire season before this game?
Hit me.
300.
Jeez.
300 total yards. And he had 50% of that against Ohio State. They kept trying to load up the box and play man coverage on the outside, and Michigan was splitting the safeties and burning them consistently. And it blew my mind that they were not willing to make adjustments and to stop it. And obviously, at that point, when they were already demoralized, they gave it to Donovan Edwards, and he did what Donovan Edwards does.
That was.
One last thing, because I know we got to talk about more stuff. You mentioned that you don't believe if Michigan had lost, they would be ranked in 5th, like Ohio State is. That you believe that they're 6th and 7th because of the Ohio State bias. I disagree with that. I think Michigan's earned a lot of respect with the games they've had this year, and the fact that they beat Ohio State last year. If they hadn't beat them the previous year, I could maybe see your argument. I personally just don't believe, in my opinion. I'm obviously not in the committee. When you've got Alabama at 6, right, who's got 2 losses, right? that would have been a one-loss Michigan team. I think they would have earned the respect to be above them. And then also Tennessee, who has 2 losses as well. I don't believe they would have had the disrespect to put them below Alabama. If this was the first year they had beaten Ryan Day and Ohio State, maybe. I just personally believe they would have given the Michigan Wolverines more respect. But ultimately, this is a mute conversation because they ended up kicking butt on this past Saturday.
Right.
So then I want to ask you, before we jump off the Michigan-Ohio State, just real quick, out of Alabama, Tennessee, and Ohio State being at 5, who would y'all rather have at 5? Like as the back door to get in.
I'm cool with Ohio State being at 5 because Alabama, again, you've lost twice and
they look beatable.
Yeah, they look very beatable.
Ohio State, again, they're talented with flaws. It's the same thing with Alabama, Tennessee.
Yeah,
respectfully, without Hendon Hooker, I can't buy into you. I'm sorry, but I'm cool with Ohio State being the next potential team in if someone trips up. But I've got more to talk about that as we get later into the show. So why don't we switch over to the next game?
And Michigan's going to take on Purdue in the Big Ten championship game.
Big matchup.
This upcoming Saturday, the 3rd of December on Fox at 7 p.m. But to go into another game, LSU took on the big-time A&M, who are not ranked. But A&M
deservingly.
A&M definitely took put a beating on LSU. It was a very, very exciting game, if I have to say anything. From watching the highlights and just watching the game itself, A&M came out swinging. They came out hot very, very fast.
Makes a ton of sense.
Really, the first drive was 7 points up by, oh my gosh, I forget his name. Something Chain, because I was saying his name a lot, by the running back from A&M. They were really running all over the place.
Devon Chain. That's what it is.
Thank you.
Devon Chain. Yep.
Yeah, Devon Chain. The DA train. That's what I gotta say.
I like it.
274 rushing yards. They averaged 5.5 yards per rush. But the key plays for this game was A-Chain and Moose Muhammad. Moose Muhammad was really their shining star on the receiving end for them. 94 yards from receiving. Really played a fantastic game. I saw one of the plays where one of the LSU corners, he was I guess not blocking, but he was on one side of him and he caught it with one arm.
Right.
A&M just played a better game than LSU did, and plus LSU had they had a fumble and they had so many mistakes all together. So
one thing before we analyze this game, did y'all know we have a couple of local area legends that played for LSU in this one? Garrett Nussmeyer was a graduate of Flower Mound Marcus High School.
That sounds familiar.
And Noah Kane formerly went previously at Denton Geyer. So so they we have some Denton representation here in the LSU Tigers. But getting back to the game, I personally my only takeaway is that A&M just loves playing spoiler.
Oh, they love playing
yeah, they
spoiler.
They really do.
They played spoiler with this one with LSU. They played spoiler against Alabama, I forget how many years ago, when they knocked them off. I believe it was also in College Station.
Yeah.
A&M, we'll see if this recruiting class and everything with all the transfer portals and all that, if they're able to build on this and build on the season.
I don't think they will.
To me, this is the chance to really stick it.
It looks really down, and it kind of sucks for A&M because even though they did get this big win, like you said, they played spoiler. It does more harm to LSU than it does any good for A&M because you still got a lot of people transferring out of A&M. You still got a lot of people decommitting from A&M. The trajectory for A&M is down and is down bad.
Yeah.
I don't know when the next time we're going to see a really good A&M team is, to be honest. I'd love to sit here and be like, oh, I'm so excited for next year's SEC rivalry between Texas A&M again. I don't know, man. It doesn't look like it's...
It's really going to depend on how many of those recruits stay and how many they get in the next coming years.
Yeah.
It's definitely a building progress.
It's good they have a high recruiting class because they're going to need it.
They need to be bowl eligible next year.
I mean, I don't think that really matters if you have a high recruiting class. I mean, you got a high recruiting class and you lost to Appalachia State this year?
I mean, it's true, but what I will say is recruiting players does get you in the door and it does allow you to be able to compete. It's just that you still have to be able to coach those players up. Because, I mean, granted, I could be the greatest coach in the world, but if there's 50 of me out there playing against Nick Saban, I don't like my chances.
But also, you could be one of the worst coaches out there, have some decent
Yeah, like
talent.
you and Kevin out there, and I would be straight. But,
Well, I like to say I'm
well,
a little
Kevin's
more
a wide
decent.
receiver. You're a track star, so
Yeah, true.
Speed beats
I would
everything.
literally just run go routes every time and just throw it up to you guys.
Yeah.
But the last game for college football for our review, Oregon State versus Oregon. I know Cullen has that one in the bag with his favorite quarterback of all time in college football.
Oh, yeah.
Bo Nix.
Well, I mean, it's thank you, Anthony, for that lovely introduction. I've always been told, right, that Bo Nix is him. That Bo Nix, oh my God, he's reinvented himself. He's a first-round draft pick. Jordan Palmer has him as QB1 before the season.
Right.
And again, he puts up really good numbers. And I think Oregon has built a really solid foundation, a really easy offense. The offensive coordinator just recently got hired at Arizona State, fellow Pac-12 school. So that shows you kind of the talent level they have in the coaching ranks there. But Bo Nix, I mean, he had a really great game. 27-41, 327 yards, 2 touchdowns. You can't be mad at a performance like that. What you can be mad at is the fact that they were up 31-10 in the second half. I think it was late third quarter. And they proceed to get outscored by Oregon State 28-3. They lose the opportunity to compete for the Pac-12 title. And it goes back to kind of my argument whenever they played Utah. They only scored 3 points in the entire second half of that game. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's Bo Nix, again, he is what he is. To me, he's a tier 2 college quarterback in terms of like a prospect for the NFL. And I feel like that's fair, but some people like to call me crazy. I just personally believe after watching this game, it just kind of showed me all that I needed to know, that Bo Nix, he works really great in the system. And if you could build kind of a elite running game, I wouldn't say elite, a really good running game, really good receiving core, and a really good offensive scheme, he can thrive in it. A lot of quarterbacks can. But when the situation calls for you to kind of go outside the system, when things aren't going when they're supposed to be, that's when you really truly find someone's character. And we're going to be talking about Caleb Williams and USC with all the stuff that he's had to go through. USC does not have this level of roster that Oregon does. But Oregon still was unable to get the job done, and now they're going to miss out on the Pac-12 championship game. And to me, it's a shame for all the podcasts that I'm a part of, because it would have been a great storyline going into this week that I get to talk about Bo
Cullen
Nix.
was wrong. Cullen was wrong. Get
All
to
that stuff.
praise
All right,
Bo Nix.
so, like, I'm actually a little annoyed with Bo Nix right now. Just like, really? You couldn't beat Oregon State? Like, granted, yes, they're
a little beef.
they made a tremendous turnaround. They went from 1-11, I believe, not too long ago, and now they're 9-3, very respectable program. But, I mean, come on, Bo. You lost to a quarterback who on the other side went 6 of 13 for 60 yards and 2 interceptions.
Great stat.
Like, to me, like, if you're that guy, if you're what everyone's telling me he can be, you close that one out.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm being unjustified, but I'm sure
Somebody's gonna do it.
Yeah. But I know we've talked a lot about the review. We need to talk about some previews. And speaking of the Pac-12 and Caleb Williams, USC is going to be playing host of the Pac-12 championship game versus Utah. Caleb Williams. If you've been following our social media, you know how I feel about number 13 from Southern California. I believe he's arguably the best college football player in the country and the best quarterback in the country. And he has an opportunity to avenge USC's lone loss on the road earlier this year against this Utah squad, in which it was a very emotional matchup. We've talked about it on previous podcasts. I won't bring it up. But I really expect Caleb Williams to further submit his case as the Heisman Trophy favorite so far this campaign. Caleb Williams has accounted for 44 total touchdowns to only 3 interceptions the entire year. That is phenomenal. And I understand he's with Lincoln Riley, who we all respect and adore as one of the top offensive minds in college football. Caleb Williams has made throws this year that not every quarterback can make. He threw one against UCLA 2 weeks ago, rolling to his left, squaring his shoulders down the sideline right before a defender was able to get there. And again, the last week against Notre Dame, he showed off his legs. 3 rushing touchdowns, able to beautifully disguise the defense because you have to respect his rushing ability. He's just having fun out there. And he's really just taking advantage of this whole process that I think USC has a really good chance of winning their in. And I would expect nothing more than USC, Caleb Williams, to avenge their loss against Utah and clinch that 4th and final playoff spot. in the college football playoff.
I mean, look. I mean, Utah has them beat. Look, people have Utah winning this game, 61% to their 38.
So here's my thing.
I'm not saying that Caleb Williams is going to avenge this team.
I mean, I get it, and that's the reason why.
It's because they got the better of them. In the
they
beginning
they
of
have the
year.
better overall team. I'll tell you this much: if the Cameron Rising that played against Bo Nix comes out against Caleb Williams, I love my chances. But Cameron Rising,
Up down.
he's been a little bit. I mean,
it could be a shootout.
I mean, he's 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, which is actually really good in college. But again, it's just sometimes he just goes a little haywire, and I would fully expect, while USC does not have the greatest top to bottom roster in this matchup, Caleb Williams, Austin Jones, and Jordan Addison, those three-headed monster that have been really carrying this USC offense, I think could score points with anybody. And ultimately, I don't think Cameron Rising and this Utah team can keep up if Caleb Williams has been playing like he has been for the last 6 weeks or whatever. And I looked yesterday. He was a minus 2,200 odds favorite to win the Heisman Trophy award.
I think he should be the guy.
And I don't really see an argument. It's a competition for who's number 2.
Literally, because I mean, it's Caleb Williams, C.J. Stroud, Duggan from TCU.
Which
it's really not a competition.
I think you put Duggan ahead of Stroud, or
I
at
do
least
too.
even at least really close, because I mean, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Corum, Stroud, Young, Duggan, you can name whomever. They aren't at the level of Caleb Williams.
I think
Yeah.
I think Williams. He gives himself the name Superman. I think there's a good reason why.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's I love how he's able to back that up. I just love the confidence that this kid has.
Yeah, but moving on to some of the more championship games, we have the Subway ACC championship game against Clemson and my North Carolina Tar Heels. And I'm not going to lie, this past weekend has not been a good day for me being a North Carolina fan. We lost in basketball twice, and we lost in football against North Carolina State. But, it's
They're
okay.
good, right? Aren't they good?
Who?
North Carolina State.
They're really good. But
Yeah, they're respectable.
I don't.
They've had their moments.
I mean, you're either you have a lot of teams if you're in North Carolina, but Clemson versus not North Carolina State. See, Kevin got me all over the place. Against North Carolina, it's going to be a very eventful game because it is the Battle of the Carolinas with Clemson and North Carolina. Clemson comes in at 10-2 with North Carolina 9-3. Like I said, North Carolina lost to NC State, with Clemson also losing to South Carolina, which was really huge for Spencer Rattler. I mean,
Talk about spoilers.
Really, he's been having, I'm not going to say a great year, but he's been having a couple of good games.
he's definitely he's had a lot of time to kind of rebuild his image from what he was at Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
To be honest, man, the only thing I have criticism of Rattler is put that cigar away. Like,
Seriously.
congratulations, you won a
No,
couple
for
regular
real.
season games.
Seriously.
You're not Joe Burrow, man.
No, for real.
Come on now.
And
When
I
I
don't
saw
think
that, I was like,
anybody.
bro.
I don't
But I
think-
mean, that's again, if that's his bravado and that's who he is, I respect him for it. Just me personally, I look at that and I'm like, people were questioning your immaturity. They're questioning, how much of your leader are you? And I mean, again, you're getting big wins, but when you're a professional, if you're looking to play at the next level,
No, right.
you need to
Can't
be able
wait.
to be even
Yeah,
keel
yeah.
as possible.
and you can't showboat at the end of the year. Like, it's cool you're playing Spooler, but it's kind of late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very Patrick Beverly, like standing on top of the NBA score
No,
table.
for real.
And
We just won
like,
the championship when
Yeah.
you really didn't.
When
No.
Yeah,
that,
you really didn't
that's
win
kind of
anything.
the vibe I get to.
Like
yeah.
you won a
Patrick
round.
Beverly equals Spencer Rattler.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
Exactly.
But getting back to your game, Anthony, I think you're about to have a better weekend, sir. I got North Carolina winning this
I
game.
hope
You do,
me,
really?
me too,
I
bro.
do.
I don't think
I do.
I think Clemson's looked beatable all year, and I think
Very.
it definitely showed. Obviously, last weekend when they lost, but yeah, I mean, I hell, why not go with UNC? Clemson has not looked very.
I can't trust
Solid.
I can't trust DJ Ukulele.
Me neither.
I can't either.
I
I haven't been able to trust him since he started. He was supposed to be the next guy. He had a rough year last year. This year hasn't been all that great.
I had this debate with another buddy of mine where I was debating
Got a lot
DJ
of
Ukulele and DJ Ukulele and JJ McCarthy,
Okay.
and I was on DJ Ukulele's side. So I thought he had all the physical tools needed to be a really
He was supposed
successful
to be
quarterback.
great.
He mechanically is so inconsistent up and down. It drives me crazy because he has all this potential and stuff. And again, I'm not questioning the guy's work ethic or anything, but it just never seemed to progress from when he came to Clemson to right now. And I would be very shocked if he's the quarterback next year for Clemson.
Yeah, but moving on from this game, we have a very special game that is going to be going on actually here with our, Mean Green fans here.
Little hometown rivalry.
We have UNT versus UTSA. Guys, this game has always been up in the air because, look, we lost to them this year during the season.
Bad.
We beat them last year.
To spoil their undefeated season.
Exactly. So, Kevin, what look, I kind of gave you a little bit of a hard one with Michigan and OSU, but now you got UNT, UTSA. So
we're talking the battle of legends here, okay? No, but seriously, it should be a respectable game, I'd like to say. North Texas has looked better as of late. Their defense has come along a little bit better as of late. I just wanted to throw this in a little. We haven't talked about any UNT really much on this podcast. It's a fair last game of the year. Let's talk a little UNT. I like their chances of, maybe playing spoiler again. Who knows? It is going to be in UT. Well, not in UTSA, but you know what I mean, in the Alamo Dome. So it should be an exciting game nevertheless.
Should we win this game?
It would be. Should we?
Colin's shaking his head no.
Should we? No, but it'd be fun if we could compete.
Yeah, it'd be fun if I won the lottery too. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. UTSA is out for revenge.
What's the point spread?
I want to know. It's
okay. Is this
currently minus 8.5 for UTSA?
Really?
Minus 8.5. Yeah.
Does Latrell need to win this game?
I think Latrell, for all the criticism he has received, he consistently has put UNT in bowl game territory year after year, even without quarterback play such as Mason Fine, which I find incredible. The old saying goes, it's not always the grass isn't always as greener on the other side.
True.
I just UNT fans will obviously, if they lose this game and if they go and lose their bowl game, they'll be oh, Latrell will get fired. Anybody can find a problem. It takes a true visionary to find a solution.
Oh, I like that. I also wanted to highlight this matchup because as of this morning, North Texas former athletic director Ren Baker signed a new deal to go to West Virginia to be their athletic director. So there might be a little bit of emotion for North Texas in this game. And that's why I picked it. UTSA is on a revenge tour. They want to get back at North Texas, and North Texas is going to have a lot of high-ramping emotions, a lot of seniors leaving. Probably going to be a lot different team next year. Seth Latrell's going to want to get this win after the season that they've had. It would be cool to have. But yeah,
And that's another thing that adds to the Latrell thing. Because there's now a new AD, he's not at all loyal to Latrell.
No,
so
it's a whole new hot seat.
Yeah, and I don't think the AD is going to come in and immediately fire him.
Right.
I just don't see that happening. But, Latrell, whether he likes it or not, I think will be under pressure to perform next season.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting.
And we're going to be losing our 29-year-old quarterback.
I know, right?
Maybe,
Who was a Yankee.
Maybe. He left the door open. We'll see what happens.
I would presume he's done.
I would also, but crazier things have happened, I suppose.
Well, now we're going to go to the king of all sports. As you know, Thanksgiving was a fantastic day for Kevin Walker and I because our Cowboys took care of business against the New York Football Giants, taking care of business 28-20. The Cowboys really did take care of business, like I said. Prescott threw for 21 for 30, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions that should have never happened. He literally threw it straight to the safety, and I was just in shock. But, I got to say, the Cowboys played great. But I really want to talk about, and I know you saw this, Kevin, that play that was called back, a Giants touchdown that was called back for a flag because there was a too many wide receivers on the field. That was hilarious.
It happens, man. It's hard to count to 11 sometimes. But what I want to say is, and this is a testament to Dak, because I know that Dak, being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, I know he gets a lot of hate, a lot of love, everywhere in between. This was a great game for the Dallas Cowboys, but this was a great game for Dak. Had a really rough first half, and came out in the second half just slinging it, man. And the offense was clicking on all cylinders, and that even means Ezekiel Elliott. I know we kind of talk about Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard being the 1-2 punch, and it worked really well for this game. And it was the Michael Gallup show for this first half, and then CeeDee Lamb had an absolute day in the second half. It was a really great game for the Cowboys. You talk about like team wins. Obviously, this wasn't a blowout, and I don't think really we expected it to be a blowout. This was a great team win.
So I want to give Anthony some credit here. Remember the discussion we had about Tony Pollard versus CeeDee Lamb, kind of like who's the more valuable Cowboys opinion?
Posted on TikTok and all that?
Yeah. No, I mean, I still would argue CeeDee Lamb, but one of the points that I made whenever I was making that argument is that Pollard had only gotten the ball 15 carries once during his entire football playing career. Last 3 games, he's gone over 15 carries in each of those last 3.
He listened.
And I think Dallas committing to the run, because obviously he's not getting the bell cow. He's just unless Zeke's obviously hurt. But I think Dallas should commit to more of a run heavy approach. I think it's just better for their offense. I think they're built that way. I think Dak's more efficient that way. That's not even a shot at Dak. A lot of quarterbacks are more efficient with a proficient running attack. But I know y'all are going to cover the Cowboys side. I wanted to personally just kind of touch a little bit on the Giants. They've got a rough schedule. We talked about it last week. Giants could be in a slippery slope position. I know Brian Daboll has done a hell of a job with Daniel Jones this season, and I think that's a great spot that they're in at 7-4. No one expected them to be this high, outside of maybe some diehards in New York. But they really are going to show themselves. We're going to find out a lot more about this team in this last however many games, 6 games that we've got.
Yeah.
Because this was one of those, it's a division game. It could go either way.
They needed this. Both teams needed this win.
But I think Dallas really just kind of cemented themselves as, the second best team in the division behind Philadelphia. So
yeah. Speaking of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Eagles took care of business against the Aaron Rodgers absent in the fourth quarter Green Bay Packers.
It's a long tagline.
It is.
Sounds like an ESPN headline.
40-33. The Eagles looked like they were right back in the beginning of the season after winning a close one against the Colts, 70-16 the week before.
They love close games, man.
They really do, honestly. Just don't put them against the Washington Commanders because they could lose that game. But just be careful.
Hey, Washington's scary.
But Jordan Love 6 for 9, 113 yards. Jalen Hurts 16 for 28, 153 yards.
Over 100 yards in, what was it, the first quarter?
Yeah, he had over 300 combined total yards on the night, and most of them came from rushing the football.
Yeah.
He's stellar.
Philly looked good, Cullen. Philly looked real nice.
They are. They also came out this morning and said Jordan Davis has the potential of the 21-day thing. He's eligible. Excuse me. I don't know why I couldn't say that word. Eligible to return this upcoming Sunday. I would highly doubt that. I would let them try to be cautious with it, just with how good the record is. But they get him back. They are full steam ahead. I mean, they are loaded from top to bottom. Jalen Hurts is playing the best football of his life. Miles Sanders seems like he's found his groove in this offense. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, they got weapons. Even Quez Watkins, that speedy wide receiver that they have.
The O-line's a monster.
Yeah. To be honest, Philly, we've said this all year long, that they deserve to be in the, especially since week 2, that they deserve to be in the conversation for one of the best teams in the NFC. And as long as they take care of business that first playoff game and they don't, because it looks like they're getting the bye, and they don't show any signs of rust, they have a very easy path to hosting an NFC Championship game. So
there's only I would say 3 or 4 NFC teams that I'm scared of. Philly, I'll probably throw in the Cowboys, and I'd say 49ers.
Wait, you're scared of yourself?
No, I'm saying I'm saying from looking at the NFC as a whole, what teams can really do some damage. I'd say Cowboys, 49ers, Philadelphia. Not in that order, but
those 3 are your tier 1.
Those 3, and then I think the 4th spot is to be determined.
Yeah, and on the other side, Aaron Rodgers, as Anthony mentioned, left the game early with a rib injury. He is expected to play this upcoming weekend.
Yep.
Matt LaFleur came out and said that. I'm just going to put this out on the table. Aaron Rodgers may not be the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers next year.
It's very well possible.
There's been rumors that he's wanting to reunite with Devontae Adams in Las Vegas. again, rumors. I don't know how much validity you hold in that.
We're talking
I'm
about the
sorry,
same
I was
rumors.
just like, wait a minute,
Talking
hold
about
on.
the same rumors of Tom Brady go back to the Patriots.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you hear stuff around the grapevine, but I think Aaron Rodgers, once you kind of get to a certain age,
I think
you're
you're
like,
just done.
well, you're comfortable, it's the older you get, the more set in your ways you get. I mean, we've seen it. I don't want to sound like the, guy messing with the old people because I am one. But, I mean, you just kind of like, you're comfortable with what you are. You've gone into the same building, met the same people, for years and years now. I mean, do you really want to change just to potentially win more Super Bowls? I mean, it's ultimately what depends to, what's the order of importance to Aaron. To me, he just doesn't look like he really enjoys being a Packers quarterback right now. Obviously, losing has a big deal with that. They've got some talent, but it's going to take them a while before I feel like they're a Super Bowl contending team. Like, this isn't a one-off season, retool, rebuild, and they're immediately back in contention. So I'm just putting it out there. It could happen. Am I betting on it? No, but definitely something to keep your eye on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But taking it down to Jacksonville, Florida, the Jacksonville Jaguars took care of business against a sweet, sweet Baltimore Ravens team, which was a very close game, 28-27. I got to say, probably one of the memorable plays in Jacksonville Jaguars history. The shin drag touchdown catch, was very, very memorable. And I think that Jacksonville Jaguars fans are going to like that a lot from Marvin Jones.
So I've said this before on other podcasts or just off the air. I believe this is Trevor Lawrence's rookie year. That last year with Urban Meyer, just scratch it, throw it away. I understand it's going to be there. It happened, but it's this is his true rookie year. And we're finally seeing him show the promise of him being the number 1 overall draft pick. He just looks so much more comfortable in that offense. They surrounded him with talent. They got him Christian Kirk in free agency. Obviously, Marvin Jones is an elite receiver. Evan Ingram's had a rebirth in Jacksonville, too, from being a former New York Giants tight end. Obviously, Travis Etienne emerges the lead, kind of bell cow back. He obviously had a foot injury in this one, but he looks to be fine for next week.
Also missed last year.
The trend for Jacksonville's looking up. They've lost a lot of these games by heartbreaking fashion, and that happens, when you're a young team and you're trying to learn how to win. The future's bright in Jacksonville. This is the best quarterback, I'll say right now, that they've had in franchise history. Trevor Lawrence.
I can't name another one.
Well, there you go. David Gerard would be like another Byron Leftwich. Shout out to Tampa Bay. But I believe Trevor Lawrence will go down as the greatest quarterback in Jacksonville Jaguars history. And I am so excited for the future for the Jaguars because they have dealt with the amount of crap other than that one AFC Championship game appearance that they had against the Patriots. But yeah, I think the sky is the limit for this team. Obviously, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. I mean, you're only 4-7, but the future's bright. And yeah, I really love this Jacksonville Jaguars team. So, but getting over to the Baltimore Ravens, this is now 4 games they've lost in which they've held a double-digit point lead.
So this is crazy because
it's insane.
I threw this game in here, and this game, we talk about college football, how there's like every team that's playing spoiler. I agree with you. Double down on everything that you said about the Jags. I also believe Trevor Lawrence, this is his rookie year. Travis Etienne, this is his rookie year. This team is great. They love Doug Peterson as their head coach.
Yeah.
I cannot remember his name, but the safety for the Jaguars, who had been there for a long time, said that he would go out there and he would die for Doug Peterson. He played under Urban Meyer. He went through that whole thing. He said that the team is everything's different. I love this Jacksonville team. They can play spoiler to damn near any team.
Yeah.
Because they can just show out at any point in time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at their schedule through this past year. In 1-score games, their losses, they lost to the Broncos by 4. They lost to the Giants by 6. They lost to the Colts earlier in the year by 7. Lost to the Texans by 7. Lost to the Eagles by 8. Lost to the Commanders by 6. They are so close if they just win a few more of these 1-score games to where they're a potential playoff contender.
Oh, yeah. And what are they, 3-7, correct?
They're 4-7.
4-7. They're the best 4-7 team.
Arguably in there. Yeah.
I think they're probably the best under 500 team in the league. I'd even say that over the Rams.
Yeah, and I just think you just got to be patient with Trevor. He's
the team in general. Yeah, they're young.
Unlike some quarterbacks from that draft class, he actually takes accountability whenever he messes up.
Very true. I agree.
No slight at nobody.
No, not at all.
But talking about the Ravens, this was supposed to be Lamar's year, and I don't know how that's going to shake out anymore.
People were talking about him as MVP in like the beginning of the season.
First 4 weeks, yes, yeah. You're right.
But
and then
Baltimore
since then,
just dropped so many games.
And to be honest, that's partly on coaching. That's partly on Lamar. I think Lamar would even admit, if you asked him honestly, that he's
just not on Twitter.
Yeah, right. This Ravens team is a fighting competitive, and they'll, I think it may come down to that final game against Cincinnati for the division, and they'll be in contention for that because they're just a really talented team. To me, the questions with Lamar really aren't regular season related because he's won 70+% of his regular season games. Like, he's a heck of a regular season player. To me, it comes down to postseason. And when you sit there and you're competing against Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, et cetera, in the AFC, where does Lamar stack up? Is he able to compete with those guys? And I think that's going to be something that Lamar is going to look to prove as he's looking for that contract extension. And also with the Ravens, they're like, okay, do we have our guy or do we want to go in a different direction? Which, to be honest, pay the man. Just pay him.
Yeah, I get it. Well, but moving from one AFC team to another, we're going to be talking about the Chiefs-Bengals for the preview. Last time these teams met was in the AFC Championship where the Bengals beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Got the better half.
In Arrowhead, too.
In Arrowhead. So it's going to be a very, very eventful, big-time game for both of these teams.
Yeah, Chiefs-Bengals, it's going to be a good one. I know, look, I'm not going to be the one that sits here and says that I'm not going to debate if Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league because he is. He just is.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to go at Cullen with that one. But the Chiefs look great this year in all facets of the game, but the Bengals have had a really great trajectory as of late. They started off rough. You want to talk about Super Bowl hangovers between the Rams and the Bengals. It was a rough start for the year. But the Bengals have turned it around a lot late. Jamar Chase will be back for this game.
Yeah,
he's very likely to play. I love this matchup. I don't see this being a Chiefs blowout like most of their games are.
No,
it could, but
right.
I don't see it. I think the Bengals could put up a fight, and if the Bengals could win this game, that would be huge and putting them back in the AFC fight.
I agree. No, I think the Chiefs last week, they took on the Los Angeles Rams and didn't have their best performance, if we're being honest. They only won, I think it was like 26-10. They were definitely looking ahead towards this game.
Yeah.
They remember this game. They want to compete against Joe Burrow. They want Jamar Chase healthy. They want to go out and show you, like, hey, the AFC Championship game has been for the last 4 years the Chiefs Invitational. And
it's going to keep it that way.
Right, and, and they're still trying to, lock in the number 1 seed and have the AFC run through Arrowhead, and they've got a really great shot at doing it. I expect this to be arguably the game of the week, and I'm so excited to watch this game. What I'm going to be really looking towards is the Bengals offensive line versus the Chiefs pass rush. Chris Jones quietly has had one of the best defensive seasons.
Oh, he's great.
Of
his career.
Especially of his, and just anybody.
Yeah.
In the interior. Obviously, when we think of interior linemen, obviously Aaron Donald's the first one you pop in the name. Chris Jones is in his own tier just right below him.
Oh, yeah.
And him this season has performed at the level of Aaron Donald, or if not higher. So I'm going to be very interested to see how the Bengals treat him and all the rest of the Chiefs pass rush in protecting Joe Burrow, because obviously, remember last year, they invested all that money into the offensive line. They've been looking better since like the first 4 weeks, especially the game against the Cowboys, where the Cowboys just bullied them. But yeah, I would expect this to be potentially
a weird win. That was a real weird win.
I would expect this to be one of the better games of the weekend for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
So moving on, we have the Dolphins against the Niners. The 8-3 Dolphins against the 7-4 Niners, to be a little more specific. They have the Niners beating the Dolphins by 66%. What's y'all's take on the Niners taking on the Dolphins?
I mean, I'm surprised you didn't introduce this as my other favorite quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. Shoot, Anthony.
He is?
No. But
who's more of your favorite, Tua or Bo Nix?
To be honest, like, if you're asking me who do I believe in more, I believe in Tua because he's showing it on the actual level.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But, again, it's just, I believe, because I did the quarterback ranking system the other day. I have Tua as the 13th best quarterback in the NFL. I don't feel like that's disrespectful.
I think it is.
But, okay.
Bit.
It is what it is. This game is interesting to me because I think these teams are very similarly built. They have 2 stud left tackles in Teron Armstead and Trent Williams. Weapons galore on both sides of the ball. For the San Francisco, you've got George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, and then on defense, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. Their secondary, I can't remember his name, the safety, who's been a star for them this year. And then for Miami, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They kind of poached San Francisco 49ers former running backs Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Jerome Baker, They just acquired Bradley Chubb on the trade deadline. Yep. So they've got a lot of talent on both sides of this ball. I'm very interested to see how these quarterbacks look up to get, perform against each other. And, of course, it's Mike McDaniel going back against his former team in the San Francisco 49ers.
Right.
So, yeah.
So here's what I want to say. I know that you're not a Tua believer, and that's fine. I'm not saying I'm a Tua favorite.
I mean, he didn't say he wasn't a Tua believer.
Here's what I've said.
I'll just say this. I don't think he's the 13th best quarterback in the league.
If you want, I can pull up the quarterbacks that I named.
I get that you can go on statistical analysis. I think other than the games that Tua missed earlier this year for obvious reasons, I think the Miami Dolphins would be close, if not undefeated. I think that Miami is a powerhouse in the AFC. Being 8-3, I think they'd be better than that if injury wasn't a problem for them, or injury, just missing games in general.
You want to talk about injuries? Talk to the Chargers before you want to complain about injuries.
It's true. Everyone gets the injury bug. Miami has looked really good this year.
Yeah.
Really, really good this year. Defense, offense, the whole nine. Everything's clicking. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are getting the ball respectively in their own category. Miami looks really good. I'd take them with any team.
And again, I'm not trying to make this into a debate. I already do that, way too much as it is.
Yeah.
For me, Tua last year, we were talking about, is he a franchise quarterback or not? And granted, they had a huge major overhaul. With Mike McDaniel, they acquired Teron Armstead, they acquired Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle's taking a step forward. Like, there's a lot of things that have gone right for Tua. And I'm not saying that, like, he's independent of that or anything. My whole thing is just like, okay, he was this last year with no talent. Now he's this year, and I'm like, okay, that's great, and he deserves all the praise that he's getting. I don't think I'm as high on him as you mentioned as other people, but what I will say is that a quarterback is not defined by when everything's going right. And to be honest, outside of the concussions, a lot of things have been going right for the Miami Dolphins. And obviously health, I'm not going to knock a player for that. I mean,
right,
he obviously. Did everything. But the fact of the matter is I believe that there is more bad tape out there than good tape. Like, this year obviously was great. The year before with Brian Flores wasn't so great. I mean, I hate to say it, but he did get benched for Ryan Fitzpatrick at some point. Now, granted, some of that had to do with injury, some of that had to do with confidence. It's one of those things where, I mean, if you look at QBR, I'm not the biggest QBR guy. 50 set at average. His first year, he was at 44. His second year is at 55, and this year's at 82. So he did take a massive jump. But I'm just saying, before we crown this guy as one of the elite quarterbacks in the game, let's just let him have some struggle, let him have some resistance first before we really crown him.
Well, I'm not saying he's like top 5 or nothing like that. I'd have to sit down and figure out if I really wanted to, but I will say that, and I get it. He's had a rough start to his career, if you will. I think it really just speaks to Mike McDaniel's intelligence.
Yes, I think Mike McDaniel deserves, the coach of the year this year.
I think he should definitely, I don't have any problem with that at all, because there's a rapport that he has with his players already in his first year, and they just absolutely love him. And you can just tell just based on how they play. Right. They love him, and he's intelligent. He knows the game. And I don't know if you saw this morning, Cullen, but he's a jokester. I mean, obviously, he loves to mess with Tua.
Yeah,
saying Georgia's the best team and the whole 9 yards. But I mean, Mike McDaniel, I agree, coach of the year candidate for sure. But yeah, I think their success should speak to his intelligence and his coaching staff.
Well, two teams that need a little bit more success on both sides of the ball. The Green Bay Packers will take on the Aaron Rodgers Chicago Bears, because apparently Aaron Rodgers still owns the Chicago Bears.
He needs to sell some of that land then.
But I have a question for both of y'all.
Okay.
Is this going to be the game where the Bears regain their identity as Chicago Bears and not the Aaron Rodgers Chicago Bears?
So you're saying, are they finally going to break free from ownership of Aaron Rodgers?
Yes. Are they finally going to break free from the Aaron Rodgers clinches?
Well, as much as I want to give Chicago hope, because I think they have finally found their guy. They have finally found the quarterback that they can build this team around, and I like his qualities. I like as a player and as a person, and I think if Justin Fields plays, because he is listed as questionable for this game, you do have hope for the future. But in terms of being able to talk crap to Packers fans,
it's going to take a couple of years.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, if you win this game, you're splitting the season series with them.
Right.
Second of all, if you win this game, you have the same record at 4-9. That's nothing to be bragging about. I don't care who you are. And I think the future is bright in Chicago. Obviously, the addition of Chase Claypool, they're finally saying, hey, we'll invest in Justin Fields a little bit. We'll try to get them some weapons. This offseason is huge for Chicago. They have the most cap space going into this NFL offseason, more than anybody in the league by a wide margin. They need to surround Justin Fields with talent, both on the offensive line and the weapons.
The offensive line.
They need to hit on this draft, and they need to be able to capitalize because next year, Minnesota might be still the favorite to win that division, but without Green Bay's showed this year, and I don't see really a way that they can get marginally better, they need to be able to say we can compete for a wild card spot next year if they play this next offseason right.
I agree with you. I think the Bears look good. I think that they could beat the Packers. Obviously, like you said, it's nothing to showboat about because the Packers haven't looked that great either. But I think this game means more to the Packers than it does for anything. Because if they lose this game, we're gonna start seeing if we don't already see them, if we don't see them already, we're gonna start seeing that Aaron Rodgers is gonna leave soon. Aaron Rodgers is gonna leave soon. Aaron Rodgers is gonna have to sell his.
That's gonna be the
his real estate. He's gonna have to sell his real estate in Chicago and all that. So I mean, we'll see what happens. But I think it could be a good game or a blowout. Who knows?
So I wanted to ask you guys this question. You mentioned the offseason, Cullen,
right?
And maybe in free agency too. Who has the brighter future, Green Bay or Chicago? Because they're both young teams.
I think Chicago by a landslide.
Well, if you're talking about potential, yes, Chicago clearly has more potential this offseason to grow as a team. But you're also trusting in Chicago, who historically has not been the greatest at using their resources, to say the least. So it's hopeful. It's hopefully optimistic. They've clearly got the quarterback, which that's the hardest thing arguably to do in the NFL. So
congratulations.
They got potential, but it's all about, it's not always about opportunities. It's how you make the most of them. And I think that's the story for Chicago this offseason.
I mean, Green Bay they have a future too. I mean, they have Jordan Love. Yeah. He went 6 for 9, 113 yards.
And Green Bay's shown that, while they're not willing to pursue guys via trade or via free agency,
they try.
They can develop. Well, they always say that. Oh yeah, Kevin, I made the efforts to go out and sign this guy.
Right.
When in reality, I just kind of sent a standard email and
hope for the best.
Yeah, it's Green Bay. They develop their players well. They scout their players really well, and you can hang that on the organization. But yeah, Chicago has potential, but it's ultimately how they use it. So
yeah. But now we're gonna take things on to the hardwood with a little bit of college basketball. My North Carolina Tar Heels, sadly, took a loss to Alabama. And
but not football.
No, not football. Definitely basketball. But,
nice.
I'm happy that Bama won, I guess a little bit because Cullen called this game. Like you called it before it was anything because you said Alabama is one of the best teams right now, especially when they were ranked 18. But the biggest thing that I took from this game was it went to a fourth overtime. I was watching this game for probably more than I probably wanted to watch this game.
Long time.
They were exhausted by the end.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing I saw from it was Bama just has more length than North Carolina. I mean, you can give the ball to Baycott all you want, but Alabama, they just kept on coming back and fighting over and over and over again until finally it was supposed to be a block, but it was a goaltend, and then all of a sudden Alabama comes up with the win, a 103-101 win against North Carolina. And I've said this before on the podcast. North Carolina was going to lose some games. North Carolina does not look great right now. They did not look good in their first game that they played in at all, their first game of the season. But, at the end of the day, North Carolina just has to fix some things. I mean, if you look at the rankings right now, North Carolina is now number 18. 18, and they were number 1. And you called them to win the whole thing, Cullen.
I still believe in them.
Still believe that North Carolina is gonna win the whole thing.
I do.
Over number 1 Houston, number 2 Kevin Walker's Texas team, who's balling out right now, and who I'm gonna be covering against Creighton, who against number 3 Virginia, number 4 Arizona, Purdue, Baylor, Creighton, UConn, Kansas, Indiana, Alabama, and Arkansas.
Respectfully, yeah, I do.
You're out of your mind.
Anthony, I
can't. Like, I had 3 North
You do
Carolina
it-
teams
you-
losing.
You do come on.
This
do it
past
involuntarily,
weekend.
Just
NC State beat North Carolina.
do one for me. Just
Hyperventilating.
okay. Well, let me try to calm your nerves.
Okay.
So, yes, this was a 4 overtime game, as you mentioned. Caleb Love, 58 minutes of game time playing.
Yes.
That's insane to expect him
Load
to be able
management.
to because he really runs the offense for North Carolina. It runs through.
He runs the team.
He does.
Everybody freaking left.
Yeah.
He's
and-
like the only one there.
right.
And he almost left.
And again, he went 13 of 36. He scored 34 points on 36 shots. That's not something you at all want to do. But I think right now they're still trying to find their identity. As you mentioned, they had a lot of guys leave and a lot of talented guys leave. And they're relying a lot on Baycott and Love, maybe almost to a fault. But I think as the season progresses and as chemistry builds, they will show why a lot of people, including myself, had them winning the entire tournament this year.
I don't know.
I believe in Hubert Davis. I believe in the North Carolina brand. I believe in their depth. Alabama, just to me, I thought they deserved more respect in this game, and I appreciate you giving me the shout out, Anthony. They're just a really well balanced team, and they held Miller, I think it was Bradley Miller for Brandon Miller.
Brandon
excuse me,
Miller. Yep.
for Alabama to 4 of 21. So I mean, defensively, they did a really good job on arguably their best player. It's just again, it's one of those games where sometimes you just get in a dogfight and it will be demoralizing. Like North Carolina is going to be a little salty with this one for about the next week or two, but they'll bounce back. I think they'll learn from this. They'll learn their strengths and weaknesses. Because again, it's not when everything's going right that you learn about yourself. It's through adversity that you learn more about yourself.
Getting teachings from the old man today.
Yeah, just trying to educate out here.
I'm gonna say I think teams have North Carolina figured out based off of last year.
I agree.
Figured out. That's disrespectful.
Sorry.
Disrespect.
I mean, who saw Texas being ranked number 3? I mean, Texas is okay. Besides Kevin, I mean, Texas is
No, he did.
is balling right now.
Not
No,
number
he didn't.
3. Not number 3.
No, he did not. No, it's an interesting year. It's a long season. Remember, March Madness is in March.
I get
We're
it.
in November technically still.
No, yeah, as of today.
As of today, we are technically in November. So just breathe. Let's calm down. It's fine. I understand you wanted to address this because
We got a
they're your
while.
Tar Heels.
Got a while.
But let's just breathe. Take a breath.
I am. And another thing to be breathing about is Virginia when they went against Michigan. Number 8 Michigan versus number 3 Virginia.
So I can't remember. Anthony, is Virginia or is Michigan? Is that one of your teams too or no?
No, not
Okay,
really.
all right.
You have
so
no allegiance to Michigan.
no allegiance. Just
No.
making sure.
No
Okay.
allegiance.
No, Virginia, we're good.
No,
Oh, my
mm-mm.
goodness.
No,
Clean
I'm-
sweep?
I'm good. I'm chilling.
All right.
Anything North Carolinian, Linian, whatever. Yeah, that's all me. But
Okay.
Virginia,
Yeah.
Michigan,
All right. Cool. Well, Michigan has looked rough this year. Would you consider it a moral victory to get 2 points away from the number 3 team when you're unranked? Even though I still, in my eyes, I view Michigan as ranked, if that makes any sense.
I mean, Virginia's got a really good basketball team.
Yeah.
Taking them down to the wire. I don't think it's any really big slight. Now, obviously, you want to win every game,
Right.
and especially with Juwan Howard there, you have high expectations. Former Fab Five member. But yeah, I think Virginia is one of those teams that I didn't really talk about a lot in the preseason, but they've really showed out so far. Am I willing to crown them? Not yet, but they got an impressive win over Michigan on the road, so you got to give them that credit. But yeah, I'm not worried about Michigan too much right now. Hunter Dickinson, one of the best big men in the sport of college basketball, had a pretty good game for him, 23-7. But it's just one of those games that if you lose like this to a really good Virginia Cavaliers team, I wouldn't dock yourself too much for it. No.
I mean, also Virginia did play a very close game, and I covered this game against Illinois as my preview a couple weeks ago.
Bring the noise, Illinois.
Yeah, man. And I mean,
Love it.
they fought very hard, and I just think Virginia's they're a very good team. Like they
Solid
have-
all the way around.
from the guards to the big men. I mean, all the way around. And with time, I mean, another team we'd like to say they have it all the way around, but right now they're kind of going on an up and downhill battle. And I'm talking about my Duke Blue Devils going against, or when they went against Purdue.
Be easy on him now, Cullen. He's gone through a lot.
I mean, I'm not going to really take any shots. It's just in the post-Coach K era, you're finding out that chapter. And when Coach K's been part of the fabric, the sole identity of that program for so long. I mean, anybody that had high expectations for this team, I think, would just be misguided. I mean, I know he's technically still on campus. It's like kind of like an advisory role, just not like on the court as much anymore. But this is something that I wasn't expecting Duke to really be a true top flight contender. I mean, they're obviously Duke, so they're still going to have really good players and everything. But Purdue, I want to talk about. Purdue has been showing out. They're currently the 5th ranked team in the nation. They were 22nd whenever they played Duke originally, but they've got quality wins over Duke and Gonzaga. After starting off with pretty easy schedule to start off the first 4 games, Purdue's announcing to the world that they're here, and they've won in convincing fashion. Zach Edey, I apologize, or Ide, I apologize for mispronouncing his name. 7'4", 295, 21-12 on the season. He is an absolute monster. I know we remember Purdue fondly because UNT got the win against Purdue in the NCAA tournament game.
Can't forget about it.
This is not the same Purdue team. They are a much better team that's going to give everybody in their conference a run for their money in the Big Ten, and I would expect this team to potentially be really going far whenever we get to March. They look really good right now.
We're going to talk about the previews that are going to be going on in this rest of this week. We got Baylor versus Gonzaga. Baylor is ranked number 6. Gonzaga looking at number 14. They're going to be playing this Friday. That is going to be a very eventful game.
It's a real interesting college basketball season. We got a lot of the powerhouses are just, I don't want to say falling off because they're not. Like, you know, like you said, it is November. It is just overreaction season right now for college basketball. But
well, I mean, November's almost over. In like a couple hours.
Almost.
I'm just saying. It looks a lot different this year than you got Duke being ranked below the 10s. You got Gonzaga under the 10s. You got Michigan unranked. You have UNC struggling. I mean, it looks really interesting right now for college basketball.
I just want to know if anybody other than Drew Timme is going to show some heart and fight for Gonzaga.
Doesn't look like it.
It just, I mean, they've had some really talented guys with Chet Holmgren and Jalen Suggs come through there. And Mark Few is a phenomenal head coach. He's always gotten the most out of those guys for the Bulldogs. But this year, it's just not looked like they're one of the top flight teams in the nation. Anthony, I think you mentioned it earlier. They lost to Texas very handily this year by almost 20. Now, they did beat Kentucky.
I mean, give credit to Texas, though. Texas is balling this year. Like,
I get it. But they also lost to Purdue, as we just previously mentioned. But
true.
Gonzaga, to me, as of right now, that you can't mention them as one of the top flight teams in the country.
Not right now. They got to see if maybe they can figure it out, but Baylor's always looked good anyway.
Yeah, and for Baylor's side, I'm just really looking to see how they fare. I'm going to be closely watching this game because, obviously, Baylor, Texas Tech, Texas, and Kansas, I think, are like the 4 clear
Big 12 winners.
Yeah, Big 12 contenders, and I just want to see how this Baylor team looks. I haven't really dug too deep into them so far this year, but I'm very interested to see how this one turns out.
Yeah.
Well, moving from Waco to Austin, we have Creighton going against UT. I think UT is going to take this game. I know Creighton has very good shooters after watching.
Loves to play spoiler.
That game against
Arkansas.
Against a council, specifically.
Oh, yes. Anthony Council,
playing against a council, Anthony Black and Mr. Council. I think UT is gonna win this game. Yes, Creighton has a lot of, they have a lot of good shooters, and they have a big man who's like, 6?
He's like 7'2".
Yeah, he's like 7'2", who can shoot and who can get on the block really easily and shoot in mid ranges. But I just think Texas, they just have the better team. They just have the better roster, honestly.
They're way more athletic than Creighton.
Way more athletic. Way more athletic.
Creighton really thrives in the half-court offense as the game that me and you watched, Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Texas can beat you in so many different ways. I would expect Texas to... I'm going to pick Texas in this one. I just think if you get Creighton out and running and kind of getting them out of their game plan, I think they really falter. Now, granted, they do have some guys that can knock down some big shots. Their point guard's really good off the dribble. But yeah, I'd expect Texas as the more complete team to win this one.
See, I don't even have to do Texas talk anymore.
No, we're really covering all parts of it. But before we get to Houston, Tyrese Hunter is really balling out, averaging 16.2 points a game, and I just think him being the of being
him being him, I like that.
Yeah, him being him as the sophomore on this team for Texas. I think that they're just gonna run through Creighton this upcoming Friday. I think it's gonna be an exciting game. But
I don't like this. This scares me.
But moving to Houston, H-Town is going to be facing St. Mary's. St. Mary's is actually going to be heading to Houston to face U of H. The number 1 ranked team in the nation for college basketball. Houston is balling this year.
They are legit.
So now, obviously, I don't keep up with the college basketball scene as much as you and Cullen do. Was Houston projected to be this good this year?
No, they were preseason. They were ranked really high. I don't remember what their exact ranking was, but they were. I know they were top 10. I'm pretty sure top 5. Yeah, no, they've absolutely lived up because the Houston program.
I mean, I know they've been good for a while.
Right.
This good?
Like this level, they haven't had a team this good in a while. Now, granted, it is early. We're still in November. I don't know how many times we're going to mention that on this podcast, but yeah, it's still November. But yeah, so far, I have no problem with saying they're the best team in the country so far. They are just absolutely phenomenal.
You got
preseason they were ranked number 3.
Yeah,
you
so
got,
they were up there.
You got an 83-36 win. You got an 81-55 win, an 83-45 win, 83-48 win, a 66-56 win against Oregon, 49-44 against Kent State. And yesterday, they beat Norfolk State 100-52.
Wow.
That's
Can I
insane.
help you? 100 points?
They got 2
Houston,
upperclassmen guards. who
There's
lead
not
the
a
way.
problem.
Yeah, Marcus,
There's no problem in Houston right now.
Marcus Sasser and Tremont Mark both lead this team in scoring. And I'm always a fan of teams in March Madness that have true leadership at the guard position, because I think it can be really crucial whenever you get into those tight games, having that experience on your side. And Houston with a senior and a junior, I think they are as capable as anybody of taking it all this year.
I will say, looking more forward to the further into the season, obviously they're not going to play the greatest of greatest competition, but they will on Saturday, December 10th, be taking on Alabama, and then on December 17th, it's going to be a Houston-Virginia showdown.
That'll be a good one. That'll really be a good one. Whew, man, we've talked a lot of college.
A lot of college. But let's move it down to the professionals a little bit with Golden State versus the Timberwolves. Golden State has been playing a up and down brand of basketball. You can't really say anything bad about Klay Thompson because everybody's now shut up now because Klay Thompson can play basketball. But they took a win against the Timberwolves, 137-114. Cullen, how'd you feel about that one?
Yeah, well, I wanted to start with the ups, right?
The ups.
Because you mentioned it. Golden State really hasn't looked the best that they've looked this entire year, coming off of winning 4th championship in 8 years. Excuse me. But yeah, I think this is the best I've seen as a total group. The Golden State Warriors looked. Steph Curry was Steph Curry. I mean, he's the greatest shooter of all time. It's not being disputed, not even an argument. Klay looked like his old self. He had 21 on 5 of 8 from behind the arc. Andrew Wiggins chipped in with 17. Draymond Green had 19 and 11. That's a stat line you don't normally see from Draymond. And then you get Jordan Poole off the bench with 24 and Dante DiVincenzo, an underrated siding for this Warriors team. He kind of fills that Gary Payton's second role with providing defense and energy coming off the bench. I mean, even Kuminga had a couple of nice buckets with 7 points off the bench too. But it's one of those things where they show potential with Golden State, and I just wanted to highlight it because we haven't seen them at this level so much this year. On the other side, Minnesota's still trying to figure out, who they are. Anthony Edwards had a nice game, 26 points with Karl Anthony Towns adding 21. They're still trying to figure out how to implement Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, and Anthony Edwards.
Cat's going to be out for a while, isn't he?
Yes, he is. I was going to get to that. He has a right calf strain. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. So hopefully, Rudy Gobert is able to step up at that time and kind of control the paint. I mean, seriously, for Timberwolves fans, you paid him all this money. I hope for their sake that he does step up.
And picks.
Yeah, right. Anthony Edwards, I thought he'd be a little bit more consistent than he has been this year. I mean, he's still a really good player, and I still have high hopes for him. But I think he needs to try to use this time without Cal on the floor to try to build that chemistry with Rudy Gobert. I think there was like a stat for the first 100 or 125 pick and rolls. He only passed to Gobert 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that you just got to work on and improve. So, but yeah, that was the best I've seen Golden State look really all year. And then, well, they turn it around.
And then they lose.
Yeah.
The Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Mavericks took care of business against them Golden State Warriors, which is very good. But before we get into that game, we're going to listen to a little bit of Luka Doncic and how he felt after I would say, a couple last 2 minutes of the game. when he shot that 2-pointer for the Mavericks to get the win.
I think that was a 2 at the end. Right? I don't know. I don't know why I pull up. I never pull up like that on 3. So I was just excited. I was hoping it was going in, so I was really excited.
Speaking of
Probably that's why.
speaking of what you were thinking, what were your thoughts when that final shot by Clay went up?
I was scared. I'm not gonna lie, because it's Clay. He's not gonna miss many open shots. So I was really happy when it didn't go in.
Were you surprised they called the walk on Steph?
Yeah, no, very good thoughts from Luka Doncic there. Shout out to Blake Elliott there with the inside reporting
Yeah.
for us here on the Fools on Stools.
I'm not going to lie. I would be scared if I saw Klay Thompson try to pull up from 3, with a couple seconds left after Luka hits
on
a
a
shot.
late closing shooter, too.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I would be scared too, because
I definitely was.
more than likely Klay making that shot, right?
I'd say like a 60-40, honestly, if not better odds
Yeah.
for Clay.
I mean, we talk about Steph all the time. Clay is one of the best shooters in the
They
NBA
call them
history,
Splash
too.
Brothers for a reason.
Exactly.
Remember when he dribbled only 11 times,
And scored like 60
60
points or whatever?
points? Yeah. Like
Insane.
when that Klay comes back, he may already be back.
I know it's, what was it, Vinny Johnson's known as the microwave?
Yep. Yeah, Ben Johnson.
Clay Thompson's the modern day microwave. He's the upgraded microwave.
There you go.
He's the one that you can, kind of plug into your wall, you ever seen those?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like all electronically updated. Yeah, he's the updated microwave of the NBA.
Literally.
Love that.
But,
making that take?
Me now. No, it's just, and again, it just shows the highs and lows of the Warriors, because they went back to kind of what they expected. I mean, Draymond didn't have a necessarily bad game, 12, 6, and 4. I'm really enjoying the fact that he's kind of gotten more of a consistent scoring approach now. Wiggins had 10, Looney had 11, but again, it was the Steph Curry show. 32 points. Not a single other player on the Warriors starters had more than 12. Kuminga had 14 off the bench. You love to see that, but
Their bench game is really good.
yeah,
Speaking of bench game.
yeah, the Mavs, they got a well-needed win at home. Luka obviously hit the big shot. But yeah, this Warriors team, I can't seem to get a grasp on them. They finally won that 4th title, and it just seems like they just haven't.
It's towards the end. I mean, even Kerr mentioned it. It's towards the end.
Yeah, maybe we are looking at potentially. I'm not going to completely write them off because we've learned better.
Yeah.
But right now it does not look good.
Well, I'm going to say the Mavs bench is scary, and not in a good way scary. Like, I don't trust them scary. And I have a few questions for Jason Kidd and his coaching, because, like, I think more players need more minutes. And the defense that the Mavericks is supposed to be the best at, is their defensive quality, is looking awfully questionable, to be honest. So it scares me a little bit, if I'm being completely transparent.
I mean, they are apparently signing Kemba Walker.
They already did.
So
Yeah.
now that,
Respectfully, who cares?
Yeah, it's not going to do
I mean, look, it's another ball handler, but I get it. He's going to come off the bench.
Anthony, he hasn't been an
I'm
NBA.
Just saying.
He hasn't been an NBA player for like 3
He
years.
was
man.
from Charlotte.
If he
okay,
can
not
give
really.
us
He was from New York.
If
but-
he can give us one
played
40-point game, I'm cool with that. Just one.
Right. Remember Derrick Rose's 50-point game?
It
It
would be
was so
sparingly.
sentimental.
You're paying more for the name value. That's what you're doing.
True.
I know.
I get it.
know.
I get it. But, Luka's going to Luka. His 5th triple-double of the year.
You realize he's had like as many 40-point, games or 40-point triple doubles as Dirk did?
Yeah, he tied him already.
Yeah.
He's 23 years old. So he has 3 40-point triple-doubles this year. You know how much the league has alone?
I want to say 4.
None.
None. Okay.
He's the only one.
Wow.
And he has 3.
MVP frontrunner.
Yep, there you go.
And speaking of someone whose name has revitalized into an all-star, possibly first-time all-star, is a player who got traded from the Kings to the Pacers named Tyrese Halliburton, and his teammate, who went to Gonzaga, shot a clutch three-pointer to put the Pacers over the Los Angeles Lakers the other day.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely
look.
think that was on the agenda.
It's so depressing, man.
It's
Like
tough.
it really is.
Like,
Like
I
it
mean,
is.
like, I'm not a Lakers guy. Like, I've never been a Lakers fan. Like, I'm not like that. But for the people who are like Laker diehards, not like bandwagons, like legit Laker diehards, this has to suck.
It's just
It's like the Cowboys being awful. Like they're one of those
well,
dynasties.
you're probably talking to the same people, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably.
yeah, you're right.
And the Yankees fans too.
No, I mean it's
as
just
well.
so like
Dodgers, but yeah.
I know
Oh, yeah,
we're not going to
yeah.
get into this debate, but I've told y'all how I feel about LeBron James and where he ranks in the hierarchy in NBA history.
It's number 5, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 6 is Michael. No, I'm kidding. No, so LeBron this year is on pace, if he stays healthy, to break Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record
Yeah.
in NBA history. And it's just going to come in such of a lackluster season. I mean, granted, they're a lot better record-wise than what they were like a week or two ago, but it's just this season is just going to be such a waste, and that it's basically like, just kind of like it's just a showcase. Like, it's not even really like the Lakers are competing, and you have Anthony Davis, who
Is doing good.
yeah, I mean, yeah, he's one of the better defenders in the league. He's really kind of revitalized the stuff. Russ has really embraced the
6-man role, yeah.
yeah, and LeBron again, he's just at age.
He's LeBron.
Yeah, he's year 20. Like, you can't expect him to the fact that he's even doing this at year 20. We saw other players.
He's always averaged out. And
Right.
he's going to continue to do that growing age, but they just have nobody else.
But and there's rumors that they're willing to trade with the Pacers. Speaking of which, there was a rumor that a trade deal was on between Russell Westbrook, some draft picks for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. I don't know, man.
I mean, look, for me personally, as a Lakers fan, I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing with the Lakers. Like right now, like before in the beginning, I was like, bro, like trade everybody. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh,
I
keep
get
Anthony
it,
Davis and
but-
LeBron. But I mean now,
Do you see them potentially even getting to the 10th seed?
No. The West is too stacked.
The West, like the Kings.
yeah,
The Kings.
Finally
the
seem like they
Kings
figured
are
it out.
like you're right. They really are having it figured out for the Kings.
we never thought that would.
Speaking of the Kings, I mean, Kevin, you have them in your preview. You want to kind of talk about them a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I also talked about the West. I mean, I feel like we're going to be talking about the West a lot this year, to be honest.
West side to best side.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I mean, Clippers Kings is what I got highlighted for the December 3rd matchup.
This Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game. I think the Clippers look better. I
Right.
still don't know. Does anybody have a timetable on Kawhi?
He'll come back when he wants to.
There you go. That's
Kawhi's
the
on
answer.
his own time.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, Boardman gets paid and never shows back up.
Cause he's bored.
Man. God, that was great. Anyway, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a good game. I think the Kings are kind of, I don't want to say putting the NBA on notice, because like they're not like all that, but they're a lot better than they have been, and they could definitely fight for a wild card seed.
They're definitely competitive now, and they're looking to break the longest NBA playoff drought of the current streaks of everything.
You know who the Kings are compared to like the NFL version of?
Who?
I think the Commanders.
Commanders. You're not too far off.
I can.
Up until like this year, I would have said
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Jets, but like, yeah, the Commanders is not a bad comparison.
I can actually see the Jets.
The thing is, the Commanders made the playoffs.
Well,
what,
the Jets aren't
2 years ago with Taylor Heineke. They won the division and hosted a playoff game against Tom Brady the year he won the Super Bowl with the Bucks. So, yeah, but I mean, it's fair. Bad ownership.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No.
But
yeah. We're not even gonna touch on that.
yeah, I'm gonna quickly kind of get into my game real quick here before I head out. These guys are gonna wrap up the podcast for me. Also, this Saturday, we've got the Trailblazers and Jazz, two of these surprise teams in the Western Conference. They've kind of fallen down to earth a little bit. Keep in mind, the 1st and 11th seed are separated by 4.5 games in the Western Conference, so anything could happen on any given week. Trailblazers, again, with Chauncey Billups. Anthony Simons has been a huge step forward as kind of the second fiddle to Damian Lillard. Lillard is expected to be out this game, not suited up to play. And then for the Jazz, Lauri Markkanen. Who knew? Lauri Markkanen's coming alive this year. And I wanted to highlight the Utah Jazz because a lot of people, after they traded away Donovan Mitchell, after they traded away Rudy Gobert, thought they would be in
New
the
head coach. and all
yeah,
that. Yeah.
they'd be in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. But now they're currently both sitting above 500, and I got to give them both credit.
Are the Lakers going to get Victor Wembanyama?
Well, no, they don't want their first-round draft pick, remember?
But they're trading with the Pacers.
Well, no, they'd be trading away because they're trading away future
Oh,
first-round draft picks.
they're trading away. Okay, got you.
But that is a little bit. That's it for the NBA. We have a little bit of mixed bag to talk about, and we're gonna get Cullen's quick pick
Okay.
of the World Cup right here, right now. So, Cullen, go right ahead.
Just going to run through it real quickly. The United States. Yes, the United States. It's called soccer, baby. USA.
Yes, sir. USA.
They were able to pull off a 0-0 draw against the English squad, a team that some argue is one of the favorites to win the entire World Cup, and thus set up a matchup with Iran Iran, excuse me. Well, it is called Iran because we beat them, so we can call them whatever they want to. No, respectfully, they were able to take care of business. Christian Pulisic, Captain America, came through in the clutch around the 30th minute mark, scored a goal for the United States to put them through into the knockout stage. The United States, after not even qualifying for the World Cup last time out, they are in the knockout stage. They are officially one of the best 16 teams in the world. They will be taking on the Netherlands at 9 o'clock this upcoming Saturday. Make sure you tune in, support your country, support your people.
It is soccer, baby.
It is so much fun to watch, and I cannot wait to see if the United States, they're a scrappy team. Dutch are a reasonably respectable squad, but we got to give them love here. United States, we're going to be repping hard on Saturday.
Oh, yes.
And hopefully we can pull this one out.
Yep.
Cullen, it's always great when you're here.
Appreciate it, brother.
Always.
All right, I know y'all are going to kill it, but I got to get to class.
Have fun.
Kevin, take it away with some Ferrari news.
Yes, Ferrari. Jumping into some Formula One. Ferrari recently announced, as of this morning, that they are going to be going a different direction with their team director. Mattia Binotto is gone. It is being suspected but not confirmed that he is waiting for a role when Audi comes into Formula One as a new team. It's crazy because Ferrari, there's some teams in Formula One that are just landmark teams that everyone knows about. Even if you don't know Formula One, you know Ferrari's a team. You know Red Bull's gonna be a team. Like all of those are flagship teams. And for a big move like this to happen with Ferrari, who's had an up and down year, it's gonna be interesting to see who they replace him with, and how their season's gonna look next year.
Well, guys, that is all we got. We got enough sports, and I hope you guys got enough sports from all three of us. From Cullen Brown, Kevin Walker, I'm Anthony Council, and this is the Fools on Stools podcast. We will see you guys back here next Wednesday, where there's going to be more news, more sports, and more foolish things coming out of our mouths.
Always foolish things.
Yes, always foolish things. And hot takes as well. See you guys next week, Wednesday, same time, same place. Make sure to grab a stool, be a fool, follow us on all our social media accounts, and we'll see you
TikTok's
guys.
popping, baby.
We'll see you guys on the flip side.